Good evening, and welcome to the work session of the Mayor and City Council of Laurel, Maryland on Wednesday, February 4th, 2026 at 6 p.m. All right, our second agenda item is a bid recommendation for the City of Laurel Comprehensive Safety Action Plan, SS4A, Safe Streets for All, Federal Grant Program. And right now we have the Director of DPW, Director Miller. You have the floor.
Thank you very much. Mayor Sidnor, Council President Smith, and Laurel City Council members. The City of Laurel has executed a $451,200 federal Safe Streets and Roads for All, otherwise known as an SS4A grant agreement, to develop a comprehensive safety action plan, a critical milestone in its commitment to the Vision Zero initiative. This data-driven roadmap shifts the city's focus towards a safe systems approach, which proactively designs streets to account for human error and protect vulnerable road users like pedestrians and cyclists. By using these funds to identify high injury corridors and engage the community in safety planning, Laurel is not only working to eliminate traffic fatalities and serious injuries, but also fulfilling the federal requirement to unlock much larger implement grants for future physical infrastructure upgrades. The City of Laurel will develop a comprehensive safety action plan focused on conducting detailed safety assessments and providing actionable recommendations for 7 key roadways to eliminate serious injuries and fatalities. Managed by a dedicated action plan committee, this initiative will integrate rigorous safety analysis and road safety audits, incorporating data on traffic patterns, infrastructure conditions, and multimodal operations with robust stakeholder and public engagement. The project encompasses a thorough review of existing policy framework, the development of strategic safety concepts, and a comprehensive equity impacts assessment to ensure recommendations align with local demographics and development trends. Ultimately, the process will conclude in a finalized action plan featuring prioritized project schedules, cost estimates for the implementation and monitoring, and a formal presentation of findings to city leadership. The Department of Public Works has requested formal pricing in the form of a proposal from Century Engineering, one of our on-call firms for the city. The scope of work involves developing a comprehensive safety action plan focused on 7 major corridors: Main Street, Cherry Lane, 8th Street, 4th Street, Ashford Boulevard, Prince George's Street, and Van Dusen Road. This project will be executed in accordance with the specifications of the awarded grant. The engineering bid results that the city received as follows is Century Engineering $563,915. It's recommended by the Department of Public Works that this project be awarded to Century Engineering for the total amount of $563,915. This recommendation is based on the strength of their proposal and their proven track record with the city. Century Engineering has successfully delivered multiple similar traffic studies for the city, including those on Main Street and other intersections throughout the city, consistently meeting performance standards and completing work at no additional charge. Funding for this project is available through FY 2024 Federal SS4A grant. And that was a grant that we applied for in 2023, and we were awarded $451,200. The city's matching side of that is $112,800. So I ask for a recommendation on that.
Thank you for that, Director Miller. Are there any comments from the council on this? Councilman Simmons?
Yes, thank you, President Smith. And as Director Miller alluded to, it is great to be able to basically get 20 cents on the dollar for us to be able to do this analysis because of the federal sort of funds through the grant. So just one thought, and it might be too late in the game. I noticed like Prince George Street was in there, which is a little less of a thoroughfare. I didn't know if Lafayette Avenue might be some, a good one to look at, especially since we're going to be running trucks up and down that with the new location. At your discretion, if you think it's worthwhile and it's easy enough, in my mind, that might be a one to look at, but just a
Sure.
thought. Yeah.
Sure. And we can go back to them and ask that because, things change. Uh, we had no idea that we might
Right.
be
That's a
acquiring a
recent
property
development.
on
Yeah.
Lafayette two
Yeah.
years ago. But yeah, just to give you a little bit of background about this, in addition to what I've stated so far, one of the municipalities in Prince George's County went through this process. And it's very intensive. They get into police reports as to accidents, where someone might, and they want to know the background behind the accidents. Did someone hit a pole? Was there drinking involved? Was there speeding involved? They will delve into a lot of that. And we had a previous study that was done for Montgomery, and that detailed a lot of things where they went back and they asked the police for all the information they could provide on every accident that happened on Montgomery. But just to get to the end, and then that's why there's 3 stop signs at the end of Montgomery. Okay. They determined that 90, or not 90, I shouldn't say that, 65% of the traffic was westbound on Montgomery. And then they compared it to the other intersections and said, if we go ahead and stop this and Pilate and St. Mary's let out, we'll have traffic backed all the way up to, 9th Street, 8th Street, something of that nature. But the other municipality in the county, after going through this process, and they're much smaller than us, was awarded $9 million. And they are still trying to they repaved, from what I was told, every street in their city. And they still have monies left that they're trying to spend down, from what I'm told. Now, what we incorporated in here, I believe, was, the request for 13 of those rapid flashing beacons, things of that nature that we, felt that were very helpful in the community. This is the type of beacon that is directly across from the Selborne House. We have one, I believe, down at the post office. We have one on 7th Street. And we felt that those were the type of fixtures that we would like to see a lot more of in the city to raise the awareness of people as they try and cross the street. There's other items, this is where we get into elevated tabletop intersections and things like that, as well as maybe putting islands in and other things for traffic calming. They will look at a multitude, of course, with this sum of money, that lends itself to a thoroughly detailed study. So
For
yes.
sure. Yeah,
Hmm.
definitely. And I know there's a little bit of pedestrian traffic there on Lafayette, and it's a little bit of a weird street. And if we have
Hmm.
increased, but anyways, for your consideration, I thought that might be an idea if it works out
Sure.
to analyze.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Other comments from the council? Oh, Councilman Clark, Councilwoman Clark?
Thank you, President Smith. I appreciate it. Thank you, Director Miller. I just have 2 questions. The first one, looking through the memo, it mentioned that this plan would unlock much larger implementation grants for future infrastructure upgrades. Is it possible you can provide a couple of examples of maybe some of those anticipated grants we could access, and what's a
Well,
typical match requirement for those?
sure. And this is it. That's what I just described. The one municipality received $9 million.
Okay.
And they're maybe half the size of us. Okay. And that's why they were able to go ahead and repave all the streets in the city. And I think they're going back now and looking at things like speed humps that had never been installed before in the city. And things like that. The rapid flashing beacons and other things, whether they're islands or, bumping out intersections so it's easier for people to get across intersections. That's the type of thing that if it goes forward and we get those implementation funds, okay, that's where we'll be. And that's what you have to do the study first, and then 2 years from now, we apply for the implementation funding. And if we get that, then we go forward. But this was one of the programs that was halted by the federal government. We were actually notified that we were awarded this back in 2025. But with all the cutbacks and fundings and things of that nature, there was a high turnover rate at the Federal Highway Administration that administers this grant. It's just been kicked down the road by the federal government several times. And we've had to, again, bring other people who have, well, I'm not overseeing your grant anymore, so they're shipping me off to Wyoming to look at interstates or something like that. We've had to deal with new people each time that has happened, that the federal government is shut down. And, we were sort of in limbo whether or not this grant was going to go forward or not. Yep.
Thank you. I appreciate the clarification. Part B of this question, since you brought it up, I appreciate that. Do you anticipate us receiving this grant, and if we receive it and there are changes within the administration on pulling it back, will it affect our plans and affect our budget?
It won't affect our budget because, maybe what we can do it a little each year, but I mean, my budget isn't 9 million. So, I would have to break it up to implement that if we did not get this grant. But again, there's different avenues that we can chase for grants should we not get the federal highway funding for it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. It sounds like what you're saying is we'll be implementing it in a way where it won't affect our budget in some type of safety approach financially.
Yes. And again,
okay.
If I have to do, one rapid flashing beacon a year, that's how it is. But I'm hoping that if we get awarded that implementation grant, and maybe it won't be 9 million, it might be 5 million, something of that nature, and that would fund. The beacons are now about $35,000 a piece, and that would fund all 13 beacons plus a lot more throughout the city. Yes.
Thank you. And just my second question, I was curious about the equity impact assessment that I saw in the memorandum. Can you explain if you know what this is about, and does it include certain neighborhoods, demographic groups?
From what I understand, it will. I've never seen one before, Councilwoman. And I've never been awarded this grant. So that's why I'm pretty excited. But what I'll do is cut out the excerpt that describes that in the proposal, and I'll be more than happy to send that to you, how they're going to go through it and what they need to accomplish. Okay?
That'd be perfect. Thank you so much. Those are all my questions. Thank you.
Sure.
Thanks, Councilwoman Clark. Councilman Cole?
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, everyone. I can attest to what Director Miller said. I've been speaking closely with the other municipality in Prince George's County for several years. Having this funding to be able to do this project, they've done so much with their city just to improve crosswalks and ADA compliance going up and down at all their intersections, not just a couple. It really helped them identify what they needed, and they were able to phase in over several years because, like Director Miller said, they just couldn't spend it all in 1 year. So this would really help us improve walkability and safety in the city. So I'm excited for this one, and I fully support it.
Thank you, Councilman.
Any other comments? All right, hearing none. We'll move this to the next meeting on Monday, February 9th, 2026 at 6 p.m. Our next agenda item is a bid recommendation for Staggers Road Improvement Project, Engineering and Design Services. And again, we have Director Miller from DPW.
Yes, thank you. And the Department of Public Works is seeking approval to obtain professional engineering services for the comprehensive rehabilitation of Staggers Road. This project involves the design of a full-length mill and overlay roadway to address the aging pavement, alongside the restoration of existing sidewalks and the installation of ADA-compliant pedestrian ramps. Furthermore, the scope includes updated traffic signage, thermoplastic paving markings, and the implementation of a new bike lane in accordance with the city's bikeway master plan. These infrastructure improvements are vital to modernizing the corridor as they enhance traffic and pedestrian safety while significantly improving local drainage systems as well. The Department of Public Works requested pricing and proposal from Brutus and Associates, one of the city's on-call consulting firms for this project, to perform a site visit with the city, schematic and final construction drawings, cost estimating, bidding, contract documents, specifications, and attendance at a pre-bid meeting. Also not included in that is a boundary and topographic survey. The engineering bidding resulted in the city receiving the following bid from Brutus and Associates for $61,920. It's recommended that the project be awarded to Brutus and Associates based on their submitted proposal in the amount of $61,920. Funding is available through the adopted FY 2026 Capital Improvement Program, Staggers Road Improvements. So let me just, with this is the last street in the FY 2026 that we have to do in the city. We've completed every other project that we intended to complete. What is particularly different about this project is it was a roadway that leads to a large industrial area. Okay, I was shocked because as I did a lot of engineering for the city, at one time, I never traveled back into that industrial area. I'm amazed at what's going on back there, the number of cars back there, things of that nature. But we had a problem this past summer where there was tractor trailers back there using this area to park. We had car dealerships pulling cars across sidewalks, breaking them up, things of that nature. And they really did a lot of damage back there. We had trucks dropping their trailers and they put those steel wheels down and they sink into the pavement on hot days. And it was terrible. FMPS went and after, our request, went back in there and they cleared them all out. They moved all the car dealerships' cars that didn't have license plates or weren't well, there is no inspection in Maryland, but didn't have the proper tags and title and things of that nature. And they cleared the street off for us. It gave us a good view of the damage that was done back in there. And the reason for the survey is because it's along the dealership, the back end of the dealership there. We want to investigate moving the sidewalk if there is sufficient room found in the survey to the other side of the street. Now, once it goes back into this industrial area, there is no sidewalk to be connected to. Okay, so what we want to do is get away from the people that are, parking in the grass, damaging the sidewalk, things of that nature, if it's feasible. So that's why it is a little bit more expensive than some of the others, because the others, we've been able to manage to move away from a boundary survey and topographic survey, but this one requires it. So it generally adds, quite a few more dollars. This is also, Burtis and Associates is a new firm to our I'll say stable of engineering firms. We dropped one and added one, and this will be our first project with them. So, we just want to bring them in to the fold on an easier project than throwing them to the wolves on Van Dusen Road or, upgrades to Cherry Lane or anything like that. So we're bringing them in on a much smaller scale to see what they do and what their capabilities are before we start to award them larger projects. Okay? Any questions?
Any questions or comments from the council? Oh, Councilwoman Clark.
Hi, thank you, Director Miller. I think I brought this up maybe last year or the year before, regarding the ADA compliant pedestrian ramps. I know that if you're planning on installing one, I wasn't sure if there was an option to do the accessible pedestrian signal, one with the audible or vibro-tactical appeal, also including the domes that automatically detect when people are there. Is that an option or is that possible?
That is an option, yes. Because what is going on, if you're familiar with that area, the bowling alley at some point is going to be redeveloped as a grocery store. Okay. And what we were looking for is, so when you come out of Staggers and it ties into that other road there, okay, none of those intersections have handicap accessible ramps right now. So that's the first upgrade we have to do. We've also considered a crosswalk there to get to. So if these people want to come out of the car dealership or back in the industrial area and they want to walk or take their bike down through there, we want to make sure that they can get down and through, and we're going to add that crossing there. And there is no handicap ramp currently on the other side of the street. So we're going to take into account all that, have the engineer look at all that, provide us with options, and then go forward from there. Yeah.
Thank you. If we could consider that, I'd greatly appreciate it. One quick question, if I could tap into your expertise. I've been curious to know, and I know this is something we looked into for the Persons with Disabilities Committee previously. For the ADA ramps, is there anything, I know like during the snowstorm, I received a lot of phone calls from residents that may have been having issues because, everywhere was blocked off with the snow. Is there some type of ramp or material that could be used that's not easily to freeze over in this type of weather condition?
Well, I'm going to say in this type of weather condition, no.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, what do you do? This was not to get into the snow and the mechanics of it all, but when you have 4.5 inches of ice come down on top of 8 or 9 inches of snow, it makes things miserable. I mean, and I certainly understand. And, we're trying to pull back those intersections that may have had snow dumped on them right now and open up that. I mean, I saw a couple come down Main Street and have to go past the market at C Street, go all the way down to the next intersection to cross safely, come up at the post office. And, I understand. But again, we're doing our best and trying to salt that and keep those areas open. But the residents could also help us by, we're not trying to plow anyone shut. Okay. I haven't received any of those calls or concerns. We take the time to pull the snow back, and we worked through a lot of driveways yesterday over on Dorset to make sure that Scotchtown Elementary was open. And again, we don't want to do that. We don't want to go back. But again, there's certain things like mailboxes. No, we don't shovel mailboxes. So we'll help you plow and try and make it safe for you. But we understand that that sidewalk is generally in front of someone's house, and we need your help to take care of that. Yep.
Yeah, no, we always appreciate you and the work you do. I actually jumped out yesterday and saw them shoveling. Thanked them in person. I was more asking, since it's being upgraded, if there's a material that we can consider while we're doing that, if there's anything out there that can make it easier, not only for our team, but for other people, so you all have to do less work.
I'll look into it. I mean, I know that the Dimples, we follow a lot of state standards for the handicapped accessibility, and all those ramps generally are either a Prince George's County standard or a Maryland State Highway standard. So if there's anything out there that I can maybe ask about, or even, with the other directors of Public Works, have you run into anything else that maybe isn't so slippery as those plastic domes? I'd be more than happy, or, we send people out to a snow conference. Tommy Helms went not too long ago out to Minneapolis, and I'll see if there's anything else out there, or, we get a lot of brochures and things of that nature. But again, I'm not aware of anything other than those plastic mats that they put down and embed in the concrete right now at this point. Yes.
Okay, thank you so
Okay.
much.
Sure.
Councilwoman Clark, any other Councilman Simmons?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. And real quick, I just wanted to note, I think Director Miller, you brought up that it's a little bit more since we're doing some additional assessment, but I think we're going to see in a later agenda item that we did have some savings off some of the other street projects we did earlier this year, and we can sort of maybe apply that to be able to do the type of assessment we do want to be able to do here. So I just wanted to note that we're going to see that in a couple agenda items down the page here.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. President.
We've had a lot of savings this year.
All right, any other comments or questions from the council? No? Well, hearing none, we'll move this to the Monday, February 9th meeting at 6 p.m. Next agenda item is resolution number 1-206, a resolution of the Mayor and City Council of Laurel, Maryland, to establish the City of Laurel Advisory Committee relating to the redistricting of the city ward boundaries. We have the presenter is the Director of the Department of Economic and Community Development, Director Mishi. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council. Before you tonight is a resolution to establish an advisory committee that will provide you with citizen input on whether the city's election ward boundaries should be redrawn, and if so, how they should be redrawn. City Charter, as our foundational document, guides our elections and defines the two existing ward boundaries. It requires at least one evaluation of ward boundaries following each U.S. Census. This required evaluation took place in 2022. That Redistricting Advisory Committee's report recommended no change be made regarding ward boundaries. Following the 2022 decision to maintain the existing ward boundaries, the administration recommended convening a Redistricting Advisory Committee sooner than the 2030 U.S. Census, considering the substantial number of residential units that were being developed in the city at that time. Tonight's resolution is a product of that 2022 recommendation. We're asking you to create a City of Laurel Redistricting Advisory Committee, to charge it with certain purposes and duties, to define qualifications for its membership, to require its meetings to be public with legally permitted exceptions, to assign certain city staff to support it, to require a report from it within 6 months of the date all its members have been confirmed by the City Council, and to provide for its sunset unless extended or terminated earlier by your majority vote. We believe the format laid out in this resolution, particularly charging them to receive testimony, will equip the Redistricting Advisory Committee with the tools to evaluate our population, to devise several potential options, and to recommend the best option to you for adoption, all in time for the city's 2027 elections to be held in an orderly and equitable fashion. Thank you, Mr. President.
All right, I'll start with myself as far as the question. Will this be adding it? Say the point of this, I know they're looking at the boundaries or possibly even adding a ward. If they do something like that, would that be adding another council member, or would that touch in that area as well, or would this just be specifically looking at the boundaries we have now, and should they be redrawn, pulling one side of the town over to the other side based off the population?
Yeah, that's an insightful question. I had not considered the idea of suggesting that a new seat be created. I did not initially read this resolution as pointing in that direction, although if the advisory committee felt strongly about that and was inclined to recommend it to the council, I suppose that could happen. It remains ultimately the mayor and city council's choice to adopt or not adopt the output of the advisory committee. So they are advisory only, and they don't have the power to implement any actions. It is all about suggesting to you what, in their mind and based on the input that they get from citizens, is the best course forward.
That answers my question then. I'll go on to Councilwoman Clark, and then I'll move on to Councilwoman Simmons.
Thank you, President Smith. So I just wanted to clarify, because I know some residents or some people may have questions. There's a lot going on in the United States and in our state. Everyone is working diligently. For us, from my understanding, we're just fulfilling for this, our charter obligation to address, the clear population imbalance and also look at the 2020 census. I think it's great that we're doing this ahead of time. It allows us to provide adequate time, public input, being transparent about the process so that we can focus on keeping our communities together. Just reviewing this, I had a couple proposed amendments or additions, and I'm just going to ask one question. The other questions I'm going to email to not take too much time. My first one was on regards to section 4C. I was proposing to add a new subsection to strengthen the transparency and accessibility. I think it would be great if we could provide the proposed maps and supporting materials at least 7 days before any public hearing. I think this will give time for residents to understand those potential impacts on their neighborhoods and also provide input. I also recommend that all the meetings be recorded for those residents that cannot attend in person. That'll help build public trust, of course. And the proposed language would be all public hearings and committee meetings shall be recorded and made available on the city's website within 48 hours. The committee shall publish all proposed redistricting maps, data sources, and methodologies at least 7 days prior before any public hearing for community review. All written public comments shall be compiled and made part of the public record. That was my first recommendation. President Smith, did you want me to continue or pause on that?
Continue on.
Okay.
The sound of what you're talking about already, but I'll let you continue and not interrupt.
Okay, thank you, sir. The second proposal is in regards to the fact of our nonpartisan process protection, just in regards to section 8. And I think it would help ensure our process to remain focused on what matters, continuing, of course, to be nonpartisan, balancing population while keeping our neighborhoods together, and just having the committee members affirm their commitment to being transparent, community-centered process, and also it will help to be clear about the criteria and establish everything up front, which will allow everyone to engage more productively. My recommendation for section 8 to add is process integrity. The committee shall conduct its work in a nonpartisan manner with decisions based solely on population data, geographic considerations, and community input as outlined in this resolution. Part B, the committee shall not consider the political or party affiliation, voting history, or partisan advantage of any redistricting proposal. Part C, all committee members shall sign a statement affirming their commitment to a fair, transparent, and nonpartisan redistricting process prior to beginning their work. So that's just my second recommendation for section 8. An additional one was possibly just expanding the committee scope in regards to considering geographic compactness, community interest, existing neighborhood associations and boundaries, major roadways and natural geographic features, demographic diversity, and the preservation of established community connections when developing the redistricting recommendations, while ensuring reasonable equal population distribution between all wards. And I have some language for that, whether that goes in the whereas or not. And just the last one is the committee reporting requirements, just adding language to provide the council with 2 alternative redistricting scenarios, the advantages and disadvantages of each option, demographic composition analysis for each proposed ward configuration, and maps showing current and proposed boundaries for the recommendations that they have. That was all of my recommendations. The questions that I have, again, I didn't want to take up too much time. I can always email those so that the administration can provide those answers. Thank you so much.
You, Councilwoman Clark, Councilman Simmons.
Thank you, Mr. President. And first of all, yes, it's very helpful as we see the different developments come online, different population shifts. It definitely does seem a good idea to be revisiting these numbers, sort of saying, okay, to what degree they should shift. So supporting our move here and look forward to the recommendations of the committee. One or two small things that I thought might be worth including. In the purpose and duties section, it made reference to looking at the 2020 data, but I think part of the whole purpose of convening it is that some of the numbers have shifted since 2020. And I didn't know if we wanted to explicitly call out, hey, the committee is not only going to look at the 2020 data, but also look at the new developments that have come online since then. So if it helped to just explicitly say, hey, we're going to look at current data as well. But the other sort of main thought that I wanted to propose for consideration is I know 4B requires that there be at least one public hearing. And I think in my mind, especially given the nature of the topic, that we provide 2 public hearings guaranteed as part of the process, just so people have an opportunity if they want to be able to step forward. I think in the 2022 Redistricting Committee, there were 2 public hearings. So in the end, having that as part of this process is something I'd recommend as well. Other than that, there was a small sort of syntax one for 4A. I think the word "the" may not necessarily need to be in that sentence, but that was it. Thank you, I appreciate it.
Any other comments from the council? No?
I'd like to just add one thing, Mr. President, I may.
Mr. Mayor?
I understand what Councilwoman Clark saying about the meetings being recorded. I think we have to look at our schedule and our manpower, staff, and things of that nature, but all meetings are open, public meetings are open, so it's like the transparency is there, and they are taking minutes. So just want to put that out there. It's not saying we can't do it, but we have to look at, our staff and things of that nature, because a lot of meetings are recorded as well. Like these meetings here, 3 meetings a month with us, and then a historical meeting, the planning commission. So there's a lot going on. So, so we have to look at the availability of that. But once again, all meetings are open and minutes are available. So just want to put that out there. I'm not saying we can't do it, but I just want to thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. President, if you don't mind for just 1 second, I hope that you and the mayor and the city administrator will indulge me, still being relatively new. I hit 2 months over the weekend, but I can't remember a time before Laurel. I've heard the recommendations this evening. My understanding is that before we move this to next Monday's meeting, though, that we would prefer the council to come to a consensus on it in the workshop. Is that correct, or do we want to take these comments? I apologize again if I'm speaking out of order. I just want to make sure that we're on the same page.
Well, I would like to come to a consensus, but with regards to Councilwoman Clark's questions she asked for the administration, I'm not, because we don't know what the questions are, I don't know if they're going to change what the administration is doing. So, I mean, that's something, again, if we do, I would like to come to a consensus of 2 public hearings at a minimum, as Councilman Simmons said, that would give us the room just in case there are some slight changes. But we can still go over this and come to a consensus before we move on with this, just so that we're not doing a roundabout. So as far as the, can we go over Councilwoman Clark's, your recommendation for the recording? Is that something, Mr. Mayor, that looks like, I know you said it will look into it. Is that something we're gonna look to do?
I think something we have to look into, but I mean, like you say, I talked to the city administrator, I talked to the department of director of communication. Like I said before, all the meetings are open. They public, they record it, so it's not like someone's hiding anything. You know, folks can come. You know, this is just, we use the technology. We have no problem with the technology, but you know, we have to look at the manpower, staff, you know, things of that nature, because that other stuff is going on. So some can't do it, but I think that's something that we should take in consideration before we actually, you know, do that. Plus, you know, the volunteers, you know, they're volunteers, you know, they have work schedule and things of that nature as well. So, here for that. Thank you.
All right. And would you mind walking through your recommendations again, Councilwoman Clark, so we can just get a consensus on that? And because you were sending questions to the administration, I was, I guess, expecting them to come back saying, you know, how they're leaning on it, but we can do it right here, right now, at least from the council standpoint. That's our job. So, would you mind going back over them one through four, and then we can lean on that?
Sure, no problem. And just to clarify, the recommendation in regards to recording, I know that Prince George's County does it. I know Maryland State does it. I know we may not have the capacity to do it, you know, if we don't, but I think it would be great if we could, regarding accessibility purposes and just providing people an opportunity to understand, especially when we're changing their neighborhoods, right? I think it would be ideal if we really can do it. So that's where the proposal comes from. That was the first recommendation, adding in a section 4C. And I'm not sure if that's something the administration would not like to put in writing in the resolution, so that it's an option. But I'm recommending that, you know, the public hearings and committees be recorded and made available on the city's website, and that the committee will publish all proposed redistricting maps, data sources, and methodologies at least 7 days prior before any public hearing for community review. And I think that's something that's already a part of our process which is why I included it. I just didn't see it written. And that all written public comments shall be compiled and made part of the public record, which I believe we already do as well, but just putting that in writing. That's the first proposal.
All right. Is there a consensus against on 4? Councilman Simmons?
Mr. President, I think and I'm definitely open to the suggestions being made. And I think it's important that, you know, this process be as transparent, you know, as possible for the input. For the different recommendations, I think it's helpful to me, at least, to have some feedback from the administration on the degree of some of the practicalities. So I know a suggestion possibly is to have some time for them to sort of look at each of the ones that Councilwoman Clark has suggested and say, okay, hey, this is easy enough to fold in, or it's just something we're going to do anyway, so we're happy to put it in, or this is something that involves a little bit more effort and how much do we really want it. So I think I'm more comfortable getting some of that feedback for those items.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So can we move on to number 3? That one I've heard the council administration will be taking that down. They can give us feedback on that, but for now we can lean in. At least I'm in support of it. For the recording and what you named in the second one you spoke to.
Yep.
Number 3. Yes.
Yeah, so the next one is in regards to the nonpartisan process protection. More or less just as a reminder that regarding this process, just ensuring the process integrity under Section 8, including A, B, and C, focusing that the committee shall conduct this work in a nonpartisan manner with decisions based solely on population data, geographic considerations, and community input as lined in the resolution, and that the committee shall not consider the political affiliation, voting history, or partisan advantage of any redistricting proposal. All committees members, I believe they already signed something, but I'm not sure if they signed something to commit to ensuring that the process integrity. If not, that would be great to add it for this committee, if possible. That is the recommendation.
I would support that as well. Any comments from the council? All right, hearing none. So is just, I guess, There's only two of us. So, Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, I just got a note from the city administrator. She said these meetings can be virtual and you can put them on the website later, so don't have to meet like in person. So you can do a Zoom meeting, virtual, the case may be.
Okay. Is that okay? All right.
Yes, as long as we improve, well, not say improve, because we do have the ability. We don't tape them all. But I think with this redistricting, as long as we're able to do something in regards to the recordings and offering that would be great. Thank you so much for checking, Mayor Sidnor.
All right. In your last one?
Yeah, one question. Councilman Clark, you said something about what you want the members of the committee, the advisory committee, be. Say it again. It was a long statement. I was trying to follow it. Cause we are a nonpartisan city, so I don't understand what you want.
We are. I think that not everyone remembers that or understands that, but I think it's really important in this redistricting process when you see so many things on TV happening other places that might get mixed in order for us to separate that. I think it's great just to put that in the resolution as a reminder of what the city of Laurel standards are and what we do, because it's a little different in every area. And I don't think we should assume that everyone knows or remembers that we're nonpartisan.
Yeah. Okay. You're not asking for their party affiliation, are you?
No.
No, it's a recommendation.
She wants to recommend saying that they're not thinking about, it's not a party thing. This is about straight community and that's all. It's just letting them know we're not doing what they're doing at the state level right now in Maryland with the congressional maps. That's what I understand from it.
Okay, all right.
Well, I'd be in support of that. It looks like I got.
Would you like me to go further? Oh, sorry.
Yes.
Okay.
So we can add that in.
Okay.
And then next.
For the next one, was in regards to just expanding the scope for section 1 for the committee to consider geographic compactness. I know that's something that has been brought up multiple times on the Planning Commission. Communities of interest, existing neighborhood associations and boundaries, which has also been brought up. Major roadways and natural geographic features, demographic diversity, and the preservation of established community connections when developing redistricting recommendations while ensuring reasonably equal population distribution between wards. And a lot of those that I brought was input that was provided specifically either while I was watching the Planning Commission or feedback from residents. And I think it would just be great to put in as a reminder if they can consider those as well for the expanding the committee scope.
All right. Any comments from the council on that one? Councilman Simmons?
Yes, and I think if I understand Councilwoman Clark, like some of these are the principles, that I imagine that will already be built into the process, but it helps to make them more explicit, through what you're saying. You're saying, hey, let's try to keep communities together instead of slicing right down the middle and that type of thing. So I think the expression of those principles can help this document in the process.
Absolutely, Councilmember Simmons.
And there seems to be a consensus among at least 3 of us for that, so we can add that in.
Okay, thank you. And the last one, oh, sorry, and the last
one.
No,
sorry.
Oh, was it me or
no,
you?
It is.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was trying to look. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I didn't want to talk over you. And the final one was in regards to the committee reporting to offer 2 recommendations. I thought of that because unless this is a preference of the council, offering 2 ahead of time so that they can work towards it and we can be more consistent, move this forward quicker. Instead of having 1 and then we don't like it, then at least we have 2 options that we can consider. That was the only other one.
I would agree with that, but I see Councilman Cole and then Simmons. Let's start with Cole.
I think we should keep it as 1. I mean, these are the committee members that are going to be working on this. I don't think we should let it down to just those of us that are running for office having the final say over we want this one versus that one. I think we should go with what the committee that we are putting together recommends to us. They are the ones that don't have skin in this game.
Councilman Simmons, or if you have anything to say against that, then I'll go to Simmons, then we can circle back if anyone has anything to say against what Councilman Cole said.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. Yeah, in terms of the idea of having a couple alternate scenarios, I think I'm open for the committee if they sort of see, hey, there's a couple different ways to achieve the aims. Here's option A, option B, option C. I mean, and if they think it's warranted to sort of say, even have more than two, I think that'd be okay. Definitely, I think to Councilman Cole's point, we do want to weigh heavily on the recommendation of what they have and the analysis that they will perform and sort of give that the weight and gravitas it needs as it comes to us. And I think ultimately, we'll want to make a decision and also listen to our constituents when it comes to that vote as well. But putting together, if the committee sees, hey, there's actually a couple different ways to achieve the goals, and here's the ones we considered and the one we lean towards, sounds fine to me.
Me as well. So I think we could add that in, that they have the option of giving two scenarios or more. And of
Thank
course,
you.
giving their recommendation on which one they believe is the strongest. I think it'd be the obvious. But
Absolutely. I completely agree. I just wanted to provide feedback. First, to say thank you for your input, Councilmember Cole and Councilmember Simmons, in regards to this. I would respectfully disagree in regards to, I think our lives are already separated. We separate campaign from council. As council, it's our job to look at this from that view and perspective, and to vote on it as we do things every other day. So I would not assume that anyone that's here right now is making a decision based off of when they're running again in 2027, or if they are. That's an assumption, because everyone here could not be running in 2027. We could be exhausted by then, who knows? However, right now, we have to make our best decision on whoever is running in 2027. So I think, and I believe that we're making a separation when we're making decisions, but I appreciate your feedback.
Sure. All right. And I want to go back over Councilman. So since we're adding that one, I want to go back over Councilman Simmons' recommendation for 2 public hearings. I'm in favor of that. Is there any other consensus with that? That's just 2 council members. There's 3. All right. So hearing that, we'll have 2. We'll add that in. And Director Mishi, you have an amended bill right there. So there we go. So we will not be circling back.
Thank you.
All right. We have the Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Clark, if you can provide me with your draft edits, I would appreciate it. Thank you.
I'm typing them right now. Thank you.
All right. And so our last agenda item is no other hands. All right. Yep. Our last agenda item is ordinance number 2053, an ordinance amending the general operating budget and capital improvement program of the Mayor and City Council of Laurel, Maryland for the fiscal year July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2026, and to provide an effective date. Our presenter is Director Saylor from the Department of Budget and Personnel Services. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President, Mayor Sidnor, and council members. This is our 3rd amendment to the FY 2026 budget and capital improvement program. Getting right to the matter, on page 2, you'll see the revenue categories, and we're adding $26,786 to state grants. We have already received this money from the state of Maryland, and it is to be used to provide assistance to backstretch workers at Laurel Racecourse. So you'll see a corresponding addition to the Laurel Multi-Service Center program budget. So the 26,786 is the only change to revenues, and so that provides an addition and brings the total budget to $52,206,074. Further down on page 2, we'll get to the expenditures. So we're reducing the mayor's budget by $8,559. This represents the remaining funds from the Mayor's Summer Job Program and the associated FICA. This money is being transferred to the Department of Communications to provide for auxiliary staffing, which is used by Laurel TV and the newsletter and other functions that have expanded and the expectations that have expanded for the Department of Communications. So further down, you'll see that addition to the communications budget. It's a total of $13,952 because there's also $5,383 that's being transferred from the community promotion budget. Specifically, these funds are coming from miscellaneous contributions. These were not specific earmarked contributions. They were part of the line that is for just miscellaneous as people may approach the mayor or others of you requesting contributions to their nonprofit. So this is not coming from being reduced from any specific contributions. So the 8559 from the mayor's budget and 5383 from the community promotion budget is being added to the communications budget for a total of $13,942. Below the communications budget, you'll see the economic and community development budget is being reduced by $5,000. Those funds are actually being transferred to the economic and community development training budget. Director Mishi has found some training that the staff, many of whom are new, that he would like to provide for them. He found a subscription-based training program, and that budget requires more funding at this point of the fiscal year. On page 3, you'll then see the addition of $39,704 to the Laurel Multi-Service Center expenditure budget. Again, that is the state grant of $26,786, and $12,918 is being transferred from the Helping Hands budget to the Multi-Service Center budget. This will provide for an additional administrative auxiliary staff member to help with grant tracking. So again, the $39,704 is the total of the transfer from Helping Hands and the addition of the state grant for the assistance to the backstretch workers. And then at the bottom of the page, of page 3, you'll see the $5,000 being added to the employee training budget, specifically the ECD training budget. And again, just overall is only the addition. Everything else is moving funds from one budget to another. So the only real addition to the budget is the $26,786. On page 4, as Mr. Simmons alluded to earlier, we have the capital improvement program. So we have the main total of all the projects that are not included in the transactions here. So we've taken the savings from Stanley Place, Ward Street, and Snowden Place, and we're transferring those balances to Staggers Road. So the bid recommendation that Director Miller went over with you earlier, that bid recommendation is funded. We do already have the $128,000 in the Staggers Road project. So the engineering bid recommendation can move forward on Monday night at the council meeting, because we do already have the funds in place. But anything beyond that, we feel like we're going to need the additional funds. So overall, for the CIP, there is no overall change. It's just the movement of the transfers of savings to Staggers Road. So the bottom line remains the same since Ordinance 2051. And that's all I have, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Director Taylor. I know it's a lot working the numbers myself to move things around and explain it. Any comments from the council? No? Councilwoman Clark?
Thank you. I just have a question. I think you said, Director Saylor, you mentioned backstretched for the lower racetrack. Do you mind explaining that or providing more context, please?
Yes, ma'am. So the state is providing funding with the expectation originally that Laurel Racetrack would be closing. There have been discussions, and I think it was actually in last General Assembly where the state had awarded certain monies would be distributed to help those workers. And because the center is so close to the racetrack, this money has been awarded to the center to disperse. Is that the question? Does that answer your question, or are you looking for more information?
No, I was just looking to understand what you meant by that, because I hadn't heard of it so far. So I just wanted to understand what you meant. I think Mayor Sidnor has something to say as well.
Yeah, it gave some more content on it. Delegate Lehman was sponsoring that. Those are the workers working there. Get the horses ready to walk them and all that nature. They're from third world countries and things of that nature. So sometimes, to give them medical help and things of that nature. And then we have the medical sweep at the multi-service center. So she got a grant where we can they can come there and get some medical help, things of that nature. So something she's been working on for a while. So that's the gist of that fast track work. So they call them fast track workers. They there all the time and working with the horses and things of that nature.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I had not heard of that yet. And just one additional question regarding the capital improvement program, moving the money from Stanley Place, Ward Street, and Snowden Place. Are we saying that no work is needed there anymore, so it can be moved to Staggers Road? Will that delay any additional projects or needs?
No, those projects are finished. They're complete, and we finished paying all the invoices.
Okay, so thank you so much. Those
the
are my
money
two
is
questions.
now available. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Clark, and thank you, Director Saylor, again for always, and giving it to us plain and clear for us all to understand. There being no further business to come before I go, I will tell you guys the next meeting is Monday, February 9th, 2026 at 6 p.m., our regular meeting. And there being no further business to come before the council tonight at the work session, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.